Momori is an ugly, invisible loner who was betrayed by an entire class of scumbags. So he became the strongest to get his revenge. It all started on the way to a school field trip. Momori was reliving his childhood trauma of being kicked around by his father because he was built like a soccer ball. When he woke up, he saw the Bakugo of the class named Hoi. Mato was annoying the class president Sogo. However, nobody else seemed to give a shit about harassment, not even their useless homeroom teacher who just slept the whole way. Momori tried to stand up to Aoyamata, but the bully reminded him that his existence was pointless. Just then, a jigshot named Tokudo speaks up and tells Aoyamata to knock it off, and hands Sogo back her book. Watamata asks him for some backup with roasting Nomori, but Takudo says he's not interested in someone who's more invisible than air. Boyamata hands Sogo her book back, then returns to his seat to pick on a new victim, Yasu. Apparently Yasu is even lower than Momori in the class social ranking, so he gets picked on just for breathing. Finally, the teacher tells Oimata to cut it out so Yasu doesn't jump off a bridge, at least while he's still their teacher. Suddenly a mysterious light shines around the bus, and the entire class is transported to a strange room. There a silver-haired woman introduces herself as Goddess Vicious, and welcomes them as fighters of evil. She explains that they've been summoned to fight the evil Great Demon Emperor. It's been 200 years since the last set of heroes defeated the Demon Emperor, but he's been revived again, so they need their help. Some of the students think they might be dead, while some idiot girl wonders how she'll do her makeup now. Their deadbeat teacher tells them to calm down and listen to the goddess first, but he's actually just a simp with a suspicious browser history.
Oh my god! Wow!
Takudo asks what will happen if they refuse to fight the Demon Emperor. So the goddess tells them that she has no way of sending them back home. However, they can return if they obtain what's called the evil element, and the only way to do that is to either obtain the Demon Emperor's heart, or absorb it when the Demon Emperor perishes. Boyamata insists that the only thing other than the Demon Emperor they could care less about is Momori's existence. However, the goddess goes on her knees and begs them to save their world. Sogo asks how puny humans like them can do anything against the Demon Emperor. So the goddess explains that they have powers unlike any other beings in this world. The goddess calls for a demonstration, so the guard brings out a three-eyed dire wolf and a Ned Stark. They unleash the beast and it goes straight for the head again. Babolo feasts the goddess cast a fireball, spell that incinerates every trace of the beast. The students are horrified by this display, but finally understand they're any different world. Next, the goddess asks them to step forward and discover what abilities they possess. One by one, the students stretch their hands to a crystal ball, and it glows a different color to determine what rank they fall into. However, when Takudo steps up to the measuring ball, the crystal breaks apart, impressing the goddess. She explains that he's a rarest rank, the most powerful of all, but the only thing that would get Takudo excited is his own reflection. The power rankings continue and Sogo is also ranked S-class, along with another girl. The goddess is stunned by how rare 3 seconds ranks are and praises their good luck. Next up is Momori, but when he puts his hand on the orb, a dim purple color shows up. The goddess quickly asks for the next student, completely ignoring Momori as he tries to ask what rank he falls into. As Momori heads back, he hears a commotion and turns back to see Yasu's result. The goddess calls him the same as the Dark Hero, who was rumored to be the strongest in the Asu is glad to finally catch his big break. Afterward, the students learn how to check their status in memory, confirms it is even less useful than an NPC. However, he notices an inherent skill called abnormal state endowment, which allows him to paralyze and poison his enemies. Omata tells the hot goddess to wrap up the lecture, so the sim teacher tells him to stop being rude. But Omata reminds him that a D rank deadbeat shouldn't be talking to an O rank. The goddess walks to the front of the class and announces an important ritual involving memory. Momori is shoved forward as the goddess informs him that since he's an E rank, since weak cut squeaks like him tend to slow down the rest of the heroes, they're typically marked for disposal. However, the goddess explains that if they often right in front of the others, there would probably be some backlash, so he's being given another chance. He'll be sent to some abandoned ruins, and if manages to come back alive, be given the right to live. Miyomori asks if it's a dangerous place, and she happily tells him that it's worse than the AEO T universe with almost 100% guaranteed fatality. Momori immediately tries to plead his case, saying he has an inherent skill called abnormal state endowment, but the goddess tells him his version has no value and would be useless on low-level demons. To add salt to injury, she tells him that his stats are too weak, and he can't access some solo leveling hack either. Momori points out how messed up it is that she summoned him without consent, and now wants to eat him out. But Takudo interrupts and tells him to wrap it up, since the girls are tired. The rest of the class agrees, except Yasu, who extends an arm of comfort. But he always did when they were both at the bottom of the food chain. However, even that rat-faced Yasu turns on him and calls him a lowly E rank. The goddess activates the magic circle to start the ritual, and gives him a leather pocket as his unique item for being summoned. Sogo rushes to stop her, insisting that it's wrong to do this to their classmate. The goddess has no choice but to knock the brat right out, and then tell the others to witness the pitiful side of the abandoned hero. Momori is enraged by her words, and tries to use his paralyze ability on her, but the weak power bounces off her dispel bubble, which is a permanent protective barrier around her. Momori is devastated, but Takuto takes the spotlight away from him when he tries his Dragonic Buster technique, just to flag some what real power looks like. The time finally comes and the boys laugh at his pathetic exit, while the girls ask to get their beauty sleep. Mimor danced them all, but no one could care less, so the goddess asks for his last words. As the tears drop from his eyes, Mimor remembers his inner demon telling him there was no point in pretending to be a good person. It was finally time to reveal his true nature. At that moment, Momori switches up and tells the goddess to go to hell, and warns them all to be ready if he makes it back alive, as he vanishes after he finds himself in a place so dark that he can't open his status screen. He uses his leather pouch as a flashlight and walks around, till he stumbles on a pile of skeletons that have been split in half. Suddenly, a monster shows up behind him and tries to crack him open like a nut. Maimori runs for his miserable, pointless life, but the monster continues to chase after him. Maimori can feel its murderous intent, but he surprisingly doesn't feel scared. As he stares at the rotating buffalo head, he only remembers those evil bastards that sent him to his death, and all he feels is frustration. In a desperate attempt, Memoir uses his paralyze ability, and it surprisingly works, so he books it, wondering if that was a low-level demon or just a miracle. When it seems he's run far enough, he stops to get some air only to face a mutated chicken wing demon, who wants to peck his brains out. Momori is determined not to die and uses his paralyze ability. Relieved that it worked again, he opens his status screen and discovers that he's almost out of mana points. However, he uses his poison skill, which seems to work but it takes a long activation time. Just when Momori thinks he's caught a break, the overcooked buffalo wing comes charging back. Now that the paralyzing effect has worn off, in the face of his impending death, Momori thinks of everyone who's been a shit stain on his life, and he determines to lay waste to them all, starting with the demon barbecue menu in front of him. Comment ranks matter if you want a part 2, and if you like anime recaps like this, then watch this video over here.